Thank you. It's great to see everybody in person again. It's been far too long since we've had a meeting like this and an awards ceremony like this. It's great to be here. We have missed you for sure. We had a Zoom show a couple of years ago, not quite the same, but it was interesting to announce the awards online and hear from the winners at that time. That virus is gone. We've learned to cope a little bit better. But let's not forget, and I don't want to bring you down at the start of the show, but let's not forget some of those people that we knew in our lives that passed away during the time, between the time we last saw you and today, from that terrible pandemic that we had. But here we are, all back at it again. A mourning ceremony this time, as a couple of our Hall of Famers tried to call in sick to work, but they didn't believe them. So we've got them on the air this afternoon later on, and we moved things around for them, and it all worked out, and we're glad to have them here as well with us. Our organization has gone through some changes since we've last been here. Old board members have retired from their posts, and while we have some returners, we also have some fresh meat with, new people in the board. And that's the way it ought to be, young sportscasters joining this group, and you'll meet them all during the course of our show today. But we also stopped having these monthly sit-down lunches at Lakeside Golf Club. It was much the same group of people attending and hardly ever anyone that was actually on the air at the current time. So now we have our meetings out in the field. We go to sporting events. Last year we visited the Dodgers and the Angels. We took in an SC football game, a UCLA basketball game, a Kings hockey game. The organizations and the schools give us free tickets. We offer them to our membership. We take as many as 60 people and sit and talk with each other and get to know each other in a way that we really didn't when we were here during lunches in the short period of time that we had. I remember going to a game, and I had not talked much with Pepe Mantilla, one of our award winners here today, at all, and we sat at the Angel game and chatted for several innings together, and I got to know a man that I did not know very well. And that's what these meetings are now going to be about, the ability to go out and have a good time with each other and bring our family members and get to know each other a little bit, that we have not been able to do that. So we'll be out in the wild again this year. We hope to go to another Dodger game, another Angel game, maybe a UCLA football game this year, an SC basketball game, a Ducks hockey game, that kind of thing. And we'll be getting you information on those events through our email list, and then you can respond and pick up those tickets anytime that you want. All we ask is that you sign up by sending a measly $25, which we use for our Student Scholarship Awards, 2 of which will be handed out later this morning. If you're a big shot and you have tons of money, give away more than $25. We've had several people throw us a few $100, and I'm sure I don't embarrass him by saying that through his foundation, and he's not here today, I don't believe, at the last minute, Rob Fukuzaki gave us a pretty good chunk of change to help fill our kitty up and make sure these scholarships are worthwhile. What do you get for your $25? First crack at those tickets, like I said. You also get to be a voter for the 2024 awards for those that we give out next January or February here at Lakeside. So if you've been getting my emails, sign up right away when you get the next one. If you've not been getting my emails, come and see somebody, one of the board members that you'll meet today, and give us your email address and your phone number, and so we can get in touch with you and make sure that you're an active member of this organization, not just somebody who shows up once a year, but actually joins and has a part of this group. I want to introduce our board of directors. They're going to all come up here and hand out awards during the course of the show here, but I'll have them stand up and be recognized right now. And let me read all their names, and then when they're standing, hopefully you'll give them a round of applause. Michael Martinez, who I believe is in the back there, Ghizal Hassan, Deb Carson, Isaac Lowenkron, and Josh Schaefer. Now they're all standing. Please honor them. A couple of thank yous to hand out before we get underway. There's only one way to get into this building, and you got to know somebody, along with the super secret password and handshake. And otherwise, you got to know a member here, and we do, and he's been great to us all these years. You baseball fans will know the last name for sure. We know his first name really well, and he's our club liaison who helps get us into Lakeside Golf Club. Please say hello to Justin Dado. Justin? There he is. And snapping photos for us that'll be sent out later, and you'll have these available in various kinds of ways. She's been doing this for sportscasters for something like 30 years. Bonnie Burrow, there she is. We have awards to give out for 2022 first, handing out the hardware to the 2022 winners that would have won these last year had we been here. The President's Award, a couple of great Lifetime Achievement Awards. We have Hall of Famers left and right. We have student scholarships to give out today as well. I hope everyone is excited to be a finalist here today, be nominated. I know in my category, in radio play-by-play, we had 15 guys receive votes all the way down the list from top to bottom. I don't know what the results are, but I do know that 15 play-by-play guys on radio got votes. And that's a testament to the depth of what we do in this business here in Southern California. And as I said a million times to all of you, I listen to each and every one of you and enjoy your work immensely. And you don't know we're listening when we're listening, but we are. And I know, like Steve listens to my ball games, and I listen to Mason and Ireland all the time. And I'll listen to everybody's shows, everybody's games. I'm a huge sports fan, and I think we can all say the same thing. All of us sitting here, we all enjoy each other's work. All right, our newest and youngest member of the board of directors is a local kid who's done really well. He's a graduate of El Camino Real High School in Woodland Hills. He went on to graduate from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State, where he just happened to be the four-year voice of the Sun Devils ice hockey team. Not only does Arizona State have an ice hockey team, they're NCAA Division I in ice hockey. They're really good. When he got out, he found a really great job, more or less back home, as the voice of the Los Angeles Kings American Hockey League minor league franchise, the Ontario Reign. And while there, more than once already, he's been able to fill in for Hockey Hall of Fame announcer Nick Nixon, Mike's side, in the National Hockey League, doing Los Angeles Kings games at a pretty young age. Now, I don't know what you were doing when you were 25. I was working at KTIP K100 in Porterville, which is in Central California, and you could almost see it from Visalia. Almost. I was doing girls softball when I was his age and some high school water polo on the radio. I was not doing Kings games at crypto.com. So this guy's got a nice career ahead of him. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how it goes from here. Yeah, I mean, in this business, you never know. But we can extrapolate where he is now and where he might be later. So please, your first chance to meet a possible star in the making, and you can say you knew him when. Welcome, Josh Schaefer.
Hello, welcome. I'm part of that fresh meat group. One of the new guys. So thanks again for coming out this year. We're excited to have everybody with you guys, even with the earlier start time this year. Like Pete mentioned, unfortunately, we were once again unable to meet in person last January or February to have a great event like this, but we did have the online voting these last couple of months to determine who the best in Southern California sportscasting was for 2022. And we'd like to bring all of those winners up to the stage to receive their awards at this time. So again, come on up. I know that we'll want to take a photo afterwards, but here are all of the winners for the SCSB Awards for the calendar year of 2022. For the Irv K's Radio Talk Show Award, Mason and Ireland, 710 ESPN. For Call of the Year, Troy Santiago, Rams Super Bowl winning touchdown. Spanish language analyst, Fernando Valenzuela, Dodgers. For the Chick Hearn radio play-by-play, Pete Arbogast, USC football. For television analyst, Mark Gubiza, Angels. For Spanish language play-by-play, Adrian Garcia Marquez, Chargers. For field or sideline reporter, Christina Pink, Clippers. Bob Miller television play-by-play award winner was Bill McDonald from the Lakers. Radio analyst was Rick Monday from the Dodgers. And our award winner for TV anchor staff was our friends at KABC. And speaking on behalf of the award winners for 2022 is Troy Santiago.
Wow.
I'm not a morning person, so sorry about it. Honestly, I'm be honoring to be a part of this group, to be a part of this uh, group of people with a lot of experience in the media. I'm in this industry for the last 24 years, and as a Spanish-speaking member, it's hard to me and for all of our community to get recognition. And today I feel really, really honored to be here with you. Thank you. Congrats to all the winners, and enjoy. Thank you so much.
There are a couple of other 2022 awards to hand out. They are for the Southern California Sports Achievement of the Year. The winners are not necessarily here, but representatives of their organization are. And the two award winners for the Sports Achievement of the Year 2022 are the Los Angeles Rams for winning the Super Bowl. Will someone from the Rams please come up and grab this? And the other Sports Achievement of the Year in 2022 for winning the Heisman Trophy from USC, Caleb Williams. Sua Craven's coming up. Thanks, guys. There are always candidates for the Sports Achievement of the Year, and for 2023, it was a runaway win. And we hope that someone from the Dodger organization can come up, even though he won it, well, a member of the Angels, the American League Most Valuable Player, Shohei Ohtani. Someone from the Dodgers here. There we go. Our next honoree is already in the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Hall of Fame, having been inducted some 24 years ago in 2005. One of our two Lifetime Achievement Awards today going to our great friend, Ross Porter. Born and raised in Oklahoma, he was on the air calling high school games and Brooklyn Dodger minor league games in his young teens. A journalism grad from OU, Ross had already been on the air for almost a decade by the time he graduated from college, and at age 24 was the youngest person to ever win the Oklahoma Sportscaster of the Year award, not just once but twice, and was at the time the youngest person to ever win such an award in any state. He came to Los Angeles in 1966, believe it or not, and while here, along with his exemplary work at Channel 4, he worked for NBC Sports National doing NFL and college basketball games, worked halftime at the Final Four, sideline at the Rose Bowl, even some hole coverage at the old Crosby Clam Bake. He even got into the act as a mentor to an up-and-coming kid you may have heard about, Bryant Gumbel. One of my very favorite Ross Porter shows was a high school game of the week on an actual broadcast, not cable TV, but actual TV that you can get with an antenna. He worked with color analysts, the likes of Sandy Koufax and Tommy Hawkins. And one afternoon at Roosevelt, he called a game that I played in between Marshall and Lincoln. Imagine LA City basketball on Channel 4 on a Saturday afternoon. Unbelievable. Why not take a chance and resurrect that programming, somebody here in Southern California? Might I add, I hit 3 straight elbow jumpers that day, and you were very impressed, as I recall. And then my coach took me out and called me lucky. We all remember him so well for his standout 28-year career with the Dodgers, in which he set a major league record by calling all 22 innings and 6 hours and 14 minutes of a single baseball game by himself in Montreal. He also called the games for the world champion Dodgers of 1981 and 88. And Ross, I have a great story to tell you, not now, about the end of the 81 World Series on live Los Angeles radio that I got to call the 9th inning as the Dodgers won the World Series. It was so illegal. But the only guy that heard it, I think, was the guy that was running the show at KMPC, Steve Summers. Nobody else knows, but I still have the tape. A meticulous preparer for each and every game, left nothing to chance when it came to telling his stories on the air. He also called other World Series games for CBS National Radio. He was the play-by-play voice of the UNLV Running Rebels, making him the only man to call games for a World Series champ and an NCAA basketball champ with UNLV. Since his leaving the Dodgers, he's worked on Fox Sports, called games for Cal State Northridge, and become a published sports writer, hosted a charity golf tournament, and is super active on social media. We've known each other since my days at KTIP K100 in Porterville, as he and Hall of Famers Monty Moore, who owned the stations for which I worked, were great friends from their Oklahoma days, and I got to talk with Ross a lot in the 3 or 4 years that I was already in the business at that time. It's a long way from Norman, Oklahoma to Porterville, and it's a long way from Porterville to LA. I'm guessing when you take it all into consideration, perhaps his #1 achievement is being married for 62 years to the love of his life, Lynn, and being close to his 2 sets of twins and probably millions of grandkids by now. Ladies and gentlemen, a life well lived from one of the most decent men you will ever meet. Please welcome to the stage the great Hall of Fame broadcaster and recipient of the 2024 Southern California Sports Broadcasters Lifetime Achievement Award, Mr. Ross Porter.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I have to tell you that it's a great honor to be here. I'm so grateful for receiving this award. I want to thank the committee that voted and made it possible for this to happen today. I want to congratulate Bill Walton, John Ireland, Steve Mason, John Jackson Jr., and Pepe Mantilla, who get awards later during the day, and to all the winners during this breakfast this morning. You're all worthy. I think it's appropriate that Pete would give me that eloquent introduction, and thank you, Pete, because after all, Pete's career took off and zoomed to great heights when he worked at Porterville. I want to emphasize one thing this morning before we get started. And that is that as in life, there are circumstances that are really beyond our control. Hopefully most will be positive rather than negative. And I'm sure that you've come through that during your careers just as I have. When I was 8 years old, I decided I wanted to be a sports announcer. My mother wanted me to be a stockbroker, but she didn't win. And because I lived in a small town in Oklahoma, population 23,000, through circumstances, I was able to get on the air. I did my first sportscast when I was 14 years old. I did my first play-by-play when I was 14 years old. When I graduated from the University of Oklahoma, I was able to get a job at the #1 radio station and the #1 television station in Oklahoma City, WKY Radio, WKY Television. Radio was upstairs, television was downstairs. On radio, for 40 hours a week, I was a newscaster. And one of the poignant moments and sad moments in my life was the day that I had to do a bulletin and announce that JFK had been assassinated in Dallas. Then on TV, I got to do the 10 o'clock sports report, Monday through Friday. So once again, circumstances, positive. After 7 years on the air, one night on television, everything went wrong. I don't know whether the film broke, they ran the wrong film, they put the wrong scores up or whatever. But I was livid. I got home and I said to Lynn, you know what? These people are such amateurs, they are never going to get it right. And she made the statement that changed our whole life and my career. She said to me, if you don't like it, then find someplace else. The next morning, I was on the phone to a friend of mine that I'd worked with in Oklahoma City who had come to NBC News in Los Angeles. I called him. I said, do you think Channel 4 out there is looking for a sportsman? He said, I don't know. I'll call you back. Within hours, he called me back. He said, you're in good luck. They're looking for a sports guy for the weekend. Get me your audition tape as quickly as you can. So I put it together. I put a show together that I had done. I think I did a college football scoreboard show I had done, put it in the mail, sent it off to Burbank. Within a couple of days, I got a call from the bosses at KNBC. They said, we like your tape. We'd like you to come to Los Angeles. We'll fly you out here and talk to you. So I arrive out here. They send me over to the station right down the street here on Olive. They take me up to the executive offices. I go in. The two bosses are there, the general manager and the station manager. They said, we like your tape. We'd like to hire you to do the weekend sports for us, and here's the contract. Well, I looked at the contract, and up until then, I really hadn't thought about what kind of money I'd ask for. In Oklahoma City at that time, I was making $1,000 a month. I looked at the contract. It said, we will pay you a guaranteed $1,300 a month. Let's see, $15,600, and I was making 12. I looked at him and I said, but can I expect to be making more money than this before long? The general manager looked me in the eye and he said, if you're not, you won't be here long. So, again, a positive circumstance. Later, Dick Enberg said to me, you know, I applied for that job that you got at Channel 4. I say to myself today, if Dick had gotten it, I'd still be in Oklahoma. Anyway, when I got back to Oklahoma City, I gave him 2 weeks' notice, and my friends said to me, hey, why are you leaving? You got it pretty good here. I said, well, yeah, I do, but I've got a chance to go to what I consider to be the sports capital of the world, Los Angeles. Look at the teams they have out there, amateur, professional. Look at the sportscasters, Scully, Hearn, Jackson, Enberg. Miller wasn't there yet. So, time goes by. A month ago, my friend Jim Alexander, the sports columnist for the Southern California News Group, wrote an article. And from the article came this headline, which I will show you now. 58 years after I told my friends. The headline, Sports Capital. And I still believe the best are right here, and you are part of that. So I went to Burbank. My desk was next door, next to exactly one of the great athletes America's ever had, and as far as I'm concerned, one of the great human beings I've ever known, Rafer Johnson. Rafer did the 11 o'clock news. I did the weekends. Over a year and a half went by. And then one night in June of 1968, Rafer went downtown to be with his good friend, Senator Robert Kennedy, who had just won the California presidential primary that night. And as we all know, Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. Rafer never returned to Channel 4. He was grief-stricken. He told me that that night, after he had been questioned thoroughly by all the authorities, he went home, undressed, and as he did, he reached in his coat pocket, and there was the gun he had helped take away from Sirhan Sirhan. Positive circumstance, yes. Sad situation to get there. So they moved me to the 11 o'clock sports in his place. I worked with Tom Brokaw. Soon thereafter, they moved me to the 6 o'clock sports. I worked with Tom Snyder. We had pretty good years there together. Again, positive circumstance. That led to network assignments for me. I did the NFL for NBC for 7 years. And as Pete said, there were other factors along the way that went in my favor. I spent 10 years at NBC. I couldn't have been happier. On a Wednesday, I went to a media conference at the stadium where they announced Walter Alston was retiring and Tommy Lasorda was going to take his place. Fred Clare, who was the vice president of the Dodgers and who was really in charge of the broadcasting department, asked me to come over and sit by him during a luncheon. I did. He said, "I'm glad to see you. I've been looking for you to ask you. You know, Vin's going to go to CBS and do a lot of network events, and as a result, he's not going to be here as much as he would be. So we have to find a third announcer. And I wondered if you could recommend to me who you might think would be good for us." I took either 1 second or 2 seconds. I don't remember which. And I said, "Yes, me." He later told Lynn, I had him set up. He was my choice all the way. He said, "I need an audition tape. We've had 200 people apply for this job." I said, "Fred, I haven't done baseball for 20 years at OU. Got to have it." That was Wednesday. We worked it out that I sneaked in the back end of the Dodger Stadium press box on a Friday night, did an inning on my own tape, my own tape recorder, handed it to somebody to give to Fred, and I went off to the airport on a red-eye to Buffalo, where I was to do an NFL game on Sunday. Fred said to me, "When you get back Monday morning, call me." Okay, I did. He said, "We like your tape. We're down to 2 finalists. You," and he didn't tell me at the time, but I found out later, the other guy that they were talking to about it was a guy named Steve Shannon, who was here briefly and did UCLA football at one time. So they sent the tapes out to Vin at his home. A couple of hours later, Fred called me. He said, "Vin likes your tape best. He thinks you have more of a style like he and Jerry Doggett." And with that, they hired me as the new announcer for the Dodgers. Wednesday, I'm thrilled at Channel 4. Monday, I'm on the way to a new job. 28 wonderful years with the Dodgers. 22 of those under Peter O'Malley, who is the best boss anybody ever had. He never once in 22 years criticized me or told me what to do. Never was there a crossword between Vin and me, Jerry and me, or Don Drysdale and me. And I'm happy to see Annie Drysdale and Drew Ann Drysdale here today. Thank you for coming to both of you. So, things sailed along. And at the end of the 28th year, I was told, "You're not coming back. Final year of your contract, we're not going to renew it." A blow. Quite a blow. I must tell you today, friends, that for 20 years, I have not badmouthed the Dodgers one time. My wife came up with a motto that we used: attitude of gratitude. Be grateful for the great 28 years you had with the tremendous organization that you worked for. Friends, I'm 85 years old. I'm in good health. I hope to live a long time. This might be the last time, though, that I ever appear in public before a group like you. I was not fired by the Dodgers because I forgot what the infield fly rule was. I was not fired by the Dodgers because I began to mispronounce players' names. I was not fired by the Dodgers because I became a lousy play-by-play announcer. Humbly, I thought the 28th year was the best that I'd ever done. I did not retire. As Pete said, Fox, also IBN, they hired me to do high school football, high school basketball, high school baseball, and then wonderful 4 years doing the home baseball games of CSUN, which I enjoyed very much. Now, for the last 3 years, I have operated 2 sports sites. And on those, I'm able to converse with the fans. They give their opinions, I give them my opinions, I give editorials, I write commentaries, I update sports. We have film, we have people out there that I don't even know who send in videos and great things to add to our sports sites. I'm going to tell you how to get in. Ross Porter Sports Facebook and Ross Porter Sports Videos. On the videos page, you will see 188 interviews and features that I have done over 50 years in this business. So, one last thing. If you enjoy your job, don't hesitate to tell your boss or bosses how much it means to you to be able to do what you're doing and to do it without criticism from them or anything negative. I think along the way, that's going to help you a whole lot. Thank you very much. Glad to be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, my wonderful friend, Hall of Famer, Jhani Kaye.
During the time since we last gathered for our awards presentation in person or on Zoom, we lost one of our longtime fearless leaders as Chris Roberts passed away. One of his passions for this organization as president and board member before that was to make sure that we reached out to the next generation of sportscasters in a meaningful way. We do that by mentoring young, up-and-coming sportscasters in ways that we can and they want to accept, and by making sure that those who want to continue their education in the field are helped along by a donation from our membership, which becomes our scholarship fund. Originally named for our founder, Tom Harmon, and later for longtime member Jerry Clark, the scholarship fund has now been renamed once again and will, this time, forevermore be named in his honor, the Chris Roberts Memorial Student Scholarship. Here to introduce our 2 recipients of this year's scholarship is Chris's widow. She was very much a helper to this organization in several ways and was never a stranger, and might I add, is always welcome to join us at any of our future outings. Please welcome to the stage Ann Lapierre.
Good morning. Such an honor. Again, my name is Ann Lapierre, and I'm the wife and recent widow of Chris Roberts. He was a long-time broadcaster here in Southern California. Most notably, he did play-by-play for UCLA football and basketball for 23 years. He was also a past president of this organization, and very proud of that. Our family was very moved and honored to hear that you chose to name this scholarship after Chris. It's a distinction he would have been very proud of, as we are, his family. Thank you for this. Also, on the many individuals here that knew him and enjoyed working with him and being with him, I want to thank you for the kind words that we've received this year from all of you and for being there for us. Pete asked me to speak as to why Chris was involved with Cal Sportscasters or Southern California Sportscasters. And this was easy. Chris loved sports. He loved sports first of all. He loved broadcasting, and he loved being around his fellow broadcasters. In other words, he was enjoying himself. He loved it. He also enjoyed coaching young people in different sports and mentoring anyone interested in sports broadcasting, and was very proud of any successes that they achieved. I remember sitting courtside next to a young Bob Myers, fresh out of college, and long before he became the general manager of the Golden State Warriors. Bob was getting ready to be on the analyst for the radio broadcast for the very first time, and was looking progressively more nervous during the usual pre-game flurry of activities. About 2 seconds before the game began, he looked at Chris and he says, "What do I do?" And Chris paused for a second, looked at him and said, "Just don't talk when I'm talking," and flipped on the mic. This was probably not the best example of how to mentor or coach a new recruit, but their partnership went on happily for several successful seasons, and I reminded Chris of this incident just a couple years ago, and he said Bob Myers, of course, would have done well no matter what had happened. But like all grandparents, uncles, and friendly neighbors, Chris was most proud and pleased with any successes that occurred for any of these young people he had coming up. To the budding broadcasters that are in the room, I'll share some advice I knew I've heard him tell others. Be very prepared, never be late, and once the game is on, it's not about you, it's about the game. Finally, to the young broadcasters coming up and that are here today, look around you, get to know the people in this room, this organization, join them, be an active part of this, and learn some of the realities of this difficult business. They know what it's like to be a success in the business. And most of all, enjoy it and enjoy the game. And thank you very much.
These are the notes that I did not bring with me. So I can tell you that both of our student winners are, for the first time ever, high school students that are going into college rather than college students trying to continue their education at the end of their college careers. And we're proud to have a couple of high schoolers here today, each of which will come up and speak. The first from Millikan High in Long Beach. Please welcome Zoe Jamali.
So I just want to start off by saying thank you to everyone here today. When I first got the call, I was very surprised that I would be awarded this scholarship, mainly because I never thought this would happen. I really recently got into sports broadcasting. I grew up with it. My father always taught me how to play sports. Specifically soccer was one that I grew up with. He was the kind of guy that when I got into a sport, he would learn all the rules, teach me, be the best. And my mom would teach me all the mental ways that I could handle everything. I always wanted to follow my brother's footsteps. He played every single sport on planet Earth. He's not here today, but I wish he was. Being a female in sports is very challenging, especially in a male-dominated field. But my goal for the future is that I will be an influence and someone that girls younger than me can look up to and I can inspire. I talked to a couple girls and they mentioned that they want to be involved with sports, and I encourage that and I want them to get into sports because it's something that I love, and I want people to feel the love that I do as well. And I think that's why we're all here today, is that sports is something that we care about and we want to continue. And I just want to thank you guys at Pier for allowing me to spread the love. Thank you.
Our second recipient of the Chris Roberts Scholarship Fund from Calabasas High School. Please welcome Kai Assad.
I'm very excited to be here. Mr. Arbogast, Mr. Lapierre. Thank you guys for the great intro. First of all, I want to say thank you to the entire Southern California Sports Broadcasters Organization for giving me the incredible honor of the 2024 Chris Roberts Memorial Student Sponsorship. Being one of the first 2 high schoolers to be selected in the history of the ceremony is nothing short of an incredible privilege. To be up here with Zoe, to be someone that can hopefully influence more high schoolers to get into such a beautiful art form is so incredible to me. I want to thank you to my family all the way back there for raising me in a world of sports and consistently supporting me in everything that I do. I love you guys so much. I want to say thank you to Mr. Bergstrom, Mr. Gersh, Mr. Young, and the entire Calabasas High School broadcasting team who have almost single-handedly given me this love and this passion for broadcasting and announcing. I would not be here without them. Broadcasting, as I said, is an art form, and to think that I'm working in the same art form as the giants and greats up here in this room is absolutely surreal to me. I've known people who know what they want to do as a career for basically their entire life. My sister, who's 3 years younger than me, has wanted to be a neurosurgeon. She already has the full plan set out, which is good because if I ever sustain any bad brain injuries, I can get a sibling discount. Which, you know, I too now have a large part of my future written and planned out. I want to become a broadcaster in college. I want to become a broadcaster for the rest of my career because, you know, not only do I get paid for it, but it's something I can dedicate my life to, and that is the absolute dream. You know, this is only one of the first steps to becoming like the people in this room, and I hope one day I can stand up here at this podium again and be a full reason to why people decide to join and participate in this beautiful art form. I am so grateful and so excited to be here. Thank you all so much.
All right, good morning, everybody. Or should I greet you with the words of the great Mel Allen? Hello there, everybody. My name is Ghazal Hassan. Until they tell me differently, I'm the voice of the CSUN Matadors. We're having a great basketball season. All right, yeah, clap for the Matadors. How about that? If you'll indulge me for a moment, one of our assistant basketball coaches, Scott Cutley, wanted me to point out, huge Mason and Ireland fan. He would be here today, but they're preparing for two big games this week, so he couldn't make it, but he listens to your podcast every day. That's how he gets through the day sometimes, so congratulations. Yeah, he's the one. So let the games commence, as they say. We'll have our first Excellence in Broadcasting Awards for 2023, and I'm going to start with the award for field reporter, sideline field reporter, whatever we want to call it. And if you followed sports the past, few months or so, there's been some little stories about the nature of sideline reporting, how some of it's done, how some of it is fake sometimes. But let me tell you, working as a play-by-play broadcaster, the field reporter, sideline reporters' contributions are invaluable. And we have a tremendous pool of talent here in Southern California. We're lucky to have you. Now, we only can name 3 finalists. So, Pete, am I to read the finalists and then the final? Is that okay? Okay. So our 3 finalists here for 2023, from the Los Angeles Clippers, Jhani Kaye. Pride of Mary Star over there. Mike Trudell from the Lakers. And Kirsten Watson from the Dodgers. Kirsten Watson, Dodger baseball. So I think she's actually at spring training, so hopefully somebody from the Dodgers can come claim your spoils. Here comes Joe Davis. All right, up next is the Gil Stratton Award for the best television anchor staff, studio staff in Southern California. And again, I think this is an area where we're very rich and very blessed here in Southern California. Obviously, our Hall of Famer, Ross Porter, he started off at NBC. I know John Ireland was a member of a daily staff for a long time, for a couple of different places here. So without further ado, the finalists here in 2023, KCBS KCAL, Jim Hill, Jill Painter-Lopez, Jamie Maggio, Chris Hare, and Darren Haynes. Dodgers on Sportsnet LA, John Hartung, Jerry Hairston Jr., Adrian Gonzalez, James Loney. And then for KABC, our good friend Rob Fukuzaki and Kurt Sandoval. KCBS KCAL are our winners today.
Thank you, Southern California sports broadcasters, for this recognition and also for all the great work that you do. We've been up here a couple times in the last few years. I don't know if this is the making of a dynasty. I'm going to say yes, but thank you so much. It's obviously a very talented group of people that we are nominated with, but also a very talented group of people behind the scenes that make this thing go. I want to say thank you to my boss, Armand Koulian, for saying yes and for keeping this train on the tracks through tumultuous times. We do so much cool stuff other than reading highlights every night. We do great packages. You get us out in the community, and I think that's the stories that people really love to hear. We have at our table today producers and editors and people that do everything behind the scenes, and you all know there's so much work that goes into that to make it successful. So thank you very much, and we'll wrap it up. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Deb Carson. We're so happy to be back here in person with all of you. Thank you for being here. I will be presenting the awards for Best Analyst for both radio and TV. And of course, all of today's finalists add value to every broadcast, a story here, a stat here, some observations, obviously, that add from their own experience and add value to the broadcast. So we have some amazing finalists here today. We are going to start with Best Radio Analyst. Our finalists, Sean Cody from USC Football, Daryl Evans, Kings Hockey, and Rick Monday from Dodger Baseball. And our winner is Rick Monday, Dodger Baseball. And congratulations, of course, to Rick Monday. Best Television Analyst, finalists, Jim Fox, Kings Hockey. Oral Hershiser, Dodgers Baseball. And Eric Harros, Dodger Baseball. And I guess I should have worn Dodger Blue today. Oral Hershiser, Dodger Baseball. Congratulations, everybody.
Every year, except for a few, beginning with our first award show back in the early 90s, we have seen fit to elect the best of the best in Southern California sports broadcasting into the SCSB Hall of Fame. All told, there are 41 members of this prestigious group, with 3 more entrants coming before you today. Of those, 19 have already passed away, some of the greatest names in sportscasting history. Yet, 22 of us are still alive, and I'd like to call their names out here and now. Not all of them are in attendance today, but a few of them are. I believe there are 7. And would you please stand to be recognized when your name is called in the inverse order as to when you were inducted. Bill McDonald, not here today. Matt Stevens. Ann Myers-Drysdale. To this date, the only woman in the group, but not for long, I have a feeling we'll have another. Stu Lance, Trevor Denman, Ed Arnold, who actually sends his regards, Rob Fukuzaki, who was going to be here but couldn't at the last moment, Jim Fox with the Kings on the road, Fred Rogan. Here today with us, Joe Calla, Rich Murata, Jim Hill, Nick Nixon doing the Kings this evening, Rick Monday on the road with the Dodgers, Ralph Lawler now lives up north. Here, as you've already met him today, Ross Porter. Here at the front table, the great Jaime Harin. And the longtime voice of the Kings and a former president of the Sportscasters Organization, Bob Miller. Our first Hall of Fame inductee today is Jose Pepe Mantilla. Jose is a 40-year professional broadcaster who has called games in pro basketball and Major League Baseball, pro football, World Cup soccer, the Olympics, WNBA, college hoops, the Pan Am Games, USC football, and tons of soccer here and abroad. He is certainly most well known for his 30-plus years with the Los Angeles Lakers, where he has been both play-by-play and color analyst for 6 different world championship teams. Here to give him a better introduction than I, someone who knows him better certainly, Pepe's son, please welcome Andres Mantilla.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure on behalf of our family to introduce my father, Jose Antonio Mantilla, or as you know him, Pepe, or Pepe Lakers, if you are one of the many followers on Twitter. You know, I look around here and this room represents a lot of hard work, dedication to your craft, and that's really what my dad has exemplified throughout his life and what he has always taught his children, leading by example, the act of always trying, always moving, never giving up, always learning to grow, his knowledge of sports, culture, music, and history. And that is why all of the 710 table will never have any shot on Game of Games. 710 people, I'm sorry. That's just the rules. You know, my dad entered sports broadcasting as his second or third career. As an immigrant from Mexico, he started working in a car wash in his 20s, then as a janitor, then as a shoe and suit salesman. Maybe that's why he has like 1,000 suits and shoes at the house, you know, plus all those shoes. Dad, you can just get rid of the shoe boxes. You don't need to keep those around. You have a bunch of room in your house once you get rid of those. Just let them go. Just imagine all the space you'd have. You know, eventually he then worked as an airline supervisor for Mexicana Airlines, where he met my late mother, Yvonne. And then came my sister, Mercedes, who's in the back there, and then myself. And at Mexicana is where he finally got his big break, traveling with the Mexican national soccer team across the country. Later, he would work for a columnist for several magazines and newspapers, a sports TV debate show, a radio talk show host, on-air personality, a movie critic, and he even wrote a column for La Coneja, for Playboy in Español. It's a great magazine, but only for the articles. You know, my dad loves sports. As a kid, I would join him almost 3 to 4 times a week after school in studio or in a booth where he would call baseball, football, basketball, soccer, and I would pass him notes on to mention certain stats or numbers. He even did hockey, beach volleyball, swimming, cycling, the Olympics. He even called play-by-play. This is true. For the Rose Parade one year. And he became an expert in flowers. That was an interesting year. As a 10 and 11-year-old, he would even take me to go with him to the Forum to watch boxing matches, sitting ringside, watching it all. And what a way to grow up, and grow up fast. And my dad loves the Lakers. I'm convinced that he dreams in purple and gold. It's the joy of his life to be able to cover the historic franchise for the last over 30 years and to be parts of all the ups and downs and to see all the greats. It's part of who he is. For 40 years, he has dedicated his life to his craft through hard work, love for his job, a fierce, fierce sense of faith, strong moral compass, respect for his colleagues, and overall love for his family. Qué orgullo, qué carrera, te queremos, pa. On behalf of my family, my sister Mercedes, his girlfriend Liz, and all of his grandchildren, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce my father, Jose Pepe Mantilla, to the stage. Thank you.
Wow, I forgot about all the things that I did. You have a better memory than me. I'm very nervous. Okay, I've been preparing this since 2020. Okay, that's when they called me and they said you're gonna be inducted. Okay, thank you. So. Thank you very much, really. God has been really good to me. Every morning, every night, I repeat the same thing. God has been really good to me, okay? And if I had to live my life again, I wouldn't change anything, no matter what. Thank you to the Southern California sports broadcasters. Thank you, Pete, and all the people that kept this alive. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, where many of the great ones are. And, you know, the first time that I was nominated, I got a call and picked up the phone and said, "Hi, this is Bob Miller." I said, "Bob Miller?" I said, "The Bob Miller?" And then he said, "Well, yes." I said, "But I'm not great. You know, that's Bob, okay? Bob is a very, very down-to-earth person. I love you, Bob, really, seriously, from the bottom of my heart." And he said, you've been nominated. Okay, so what a dream, I'm nominated. But today, it's like a fantasy. you know. And I want to tell you a dream of a young guy. In 1965, I was studying at the University of Mexico. I took 2 buses from my house to get to the university because it was very far. So that day, it was October 1965. I hurried up and I went back really fast because it was October, it was the World Series. The Dodgers were playing the Minnesota Twins. And I had to get there, take care of the things that I had to do, and sat in front of the TV, black and white Emerson, no remote control, nothing. And I was watching the Dodgers it was game 7, and I didn't know whether Sandy Koufax was going to pitch or not, but he ended up pitching that game, okay? The game had already been played because I was in Mexico, and it was not like now, okay? They had to send the tape, and you watch the game whenever, okay? But I didn't know. So that was great, and Sandy Koufax pitched, and I was really, really happy. My dream was to one day, I want to go to Chavez Ravine Stadium. But I didn't know that I didn't know what a ravine was, okay? So I thought that the name was Chavez Ravine, 2 last names, okay? So I said, one day I want to be there to watch a game, and beautiful Los Angeles, because that's what they say. This game comes in Spanish. El juego viene desde Chavez Ravine, desde la hermosa ciudad de Los Angeles, beautiful Los Angeles, okay, which is beautiful. So in 1970, I finally got the chance to come and watch games at Dodger Stadium. And, I was watching and listening to Jaime. And then eventually I started working for a radio station, but nobody wanted to do the American sports, football, soccer, hockey, baseball. And they said, you want to do it? I said, sure, get me the credential. So when they said, okay, go to the Dodgers and get some bites from the Latino players. So I got the credential, and I get there really super early. So I got there, and I'm sitting down in the dugout. I'm dreaming, watching the guys working on the field. I'm there by myself, and suddenly, I feel like somebody's coming to sit in the dugout. So I turn around, and the person said, hi. I turn around, and it's Sandy Koufax. That was my field of dreams. To this day, I said, God, you're really good to me, seriously. And then that was fantastic. So it's been really a great honor, and it's been fantastic to do what I do. Why? Because I enjoy what I do. And I have to say thank you to a lot of people, lots of people. First, my good friend Hugo Bandi. Hugo Bandi was the one that recommended me to start doing this. I've been working for Mexican Airlines for 20 years. It was hard to change careers, okay? But then in life, you have to make decisions and live with those decisions. And that's the best decision that I made, okay? So I have to thank Ken Peters, John Nadell, because I started working with them as a stringer, calling the games from the Coliseum, calling New York and telling them what happened in the soccer game and all that. So I did that. Then I started working for La Cadena Deportiva. Thank you to Terry Planell, to Fox Sports, Anel, Jacob, Jack, Dustin, and all the people in Fox Sports, where I still do and call NFL games in Spanish for SAP after more than 20 years, and I love doing that. That is so much fun, really. To Howard and Jimmy Camelson and the people in KW 1330 AM, the Lakers flag station in Spanish, to Don Martin, who gave me a chance to do reports during the FIFA World Cup for the 570 AM radio, to my crazy friends, and they're really crazy, these guys. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because, see, when I was going to university, I studied psychology. And at the time went by, and I said, why did I study psychology? But now No. I really thank Freud and Fromm and Young and Watson and Skinner because they were preparing me for these crazy guys. Seriously. To my family, they always been there for me, dealing with the different hours of my job and putting up with my time away from home. And finally, to my Laker family. My Laker family, which I love every one of them, seriously. Dr. Boss, the Boss family, every person that worked for the Lakers are fantastic. It's a blessing for me to be involved or belong to the greatest sports organization in the world to me. Seriously, I love the Lakers. My son is right. I love the Lakers. He knows. And I've been part of the 6 championships, and it's a beauty doing what I do. When I get to see all the people, I talk to them. No matter who they are, I talk to them because I love all of them. And once again, you know, God has been really good to me. Thank you.
Our next Hall of Famers come in as a team, as they should. Steve Mason and John Ireland, the Mason and Ireland Show. Back in the dark mornings when I was doing morning news and sports over on K-Earth and KHJ, they would entertain me with their antics and those of Jeannie Zelasco on the Big Show from XTRA in San Diego as I drove to work. It's a long time ago, boys. Not a zany morning zoo, but actual quality sports talk with just enough other stuff thrown in to make it supremely interesting, something that it still is these days, these many years later. They have a fun time, you can tell. They enjoy working together and working with their team of many contributors, including Pepe Mantilla, I might add. In LA, for my money, there are really only 2 locally produced sports talk shows that are not only from here, but for here. I run into Steve now and then on the streets, so we both reside in the wonderful hamlet of Venice. And John, of course, is, along with his show duties, the longtime voice of the Lakers. Great guys. Here to cast further light on what they're about and why they are worthy of this honor is one of their friends, Chris Morales, who grew up in Los Angeles radio, learning from his dad, the legendary Mucho Morales. And he currently serves as content leadership for Good Karma Brands and ESPN LA and is heard every day in 710 ESPN as the station's imaging voice. Please welcome Chris Morales.
Good morning. So first off, congratulations, Pepe. You make us smile. You bring us so much joy every day, it seems like, because we have a lot of drops of you that we just play over and over. You're truly a legend and one of our dearest friends. One more round of applause for Pepe. 30 years ago, seems like a long time, not that long from some of the stories we've heard today, John and Steve began doing a sports radio show at the Blowtorch, Extra Sports 690. I was 10 years old then, and I used to listen to 690, not because it was a sports station. I didn't really care that much about sports then, because it was a great radio station. It was so entertaining. It was so amazing to hear all of it, the presentation, the imaging. It was bigger than life. And that's what John and Steve began. And they became bigger than life to Southern California sports radio. Later in the 90s, they would do one of the first ever sports radio simulcast on television. They never get enough credit for that, on Fox Sports West. Their producer, David Singer, would dress up like the Happy Star, because Carl's Jr. was their sponsor. And I remember watching that before school, and it was entertaining, it was fun. I was like, who are these guys? So much fun doing radio. And my background was music radio with my father. But it just seemed like, damn, maybe one day I should get into sports radio because it was so fun. In 2004, they landed at ESPN Los Angeles. And 20 years later, I am proud to say, thank God you came to ESPN LA, and you saved a radio station that was never going to get off the ground. And 20 years later, you are still the kings of LA sports radio. When you're mentioned, not only as one of the best sports radio duos in the country ever, but in rarefied air as one of the best duos in LA radio, with Mark and Brian, John and Ken and Bob going way back to the old KBC days. You're not only Hall of Famers, guys, you're legends. And we are thankful still in Los Angeles to hear you each weekday 1 to 4 p.m. on 710 ESPN. What makes John and Steve so amazing is not so much their talent. They're very talented, obviously. You have to be to survive this long. but their understanding of the business of radio. And I think in my 22 years in sports radio, you don't encounter tons of people that think that this is more than just sports. It's a business, just like any other radio. I get texts from John Ireland in the middle of the night, hey, I think an old promo just ran. Steve Mason is willing to talk to any partner, to cut any spec spot, to meet them right before a show. They truly understand the business. And that's why we survive, right? Because of the business of sports radio. John and Steve are one of a kind, and they're the cornerstone of ESPN LA. And when we talk about the history of sports radio, a lot of people talk about WFAN. WFAN doesn't make it without Don Imus in the morning. And we don't make it without Mason and Ireland. So after 20 years with us, I hope you guys got another 20 years. And it is an honor and a privilege to welcome the newest Hall of Famers, Steve Mason and John Ireland.
All right, so Ireland says he doesn't want to talk, so I've been designated as the speaker this morning. John has great humility. I have less, so I enjoy awards, and I'm excited about this one. We've been together 30 years. I'm going to tell you about each of those years right now. No, we've had an unbelievable run, and it's humbling to be in the company of all these people who are in the Southern California Sports Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I mean, for me, I grew up in Toledo, Ohio. To be standing here is just is crazy to me, and I don't think I would be if I hadn't met John Ireland. We started out 30 years ago. I was trying to get fired from the mighty 690. I was doing everything I could. I wanted to get out of my contract, and I met John Ireland, and all of a sudden we clicked. Chemistry is really rare, and I think we had it right from the jump. It was incredible chemistry, and that's why we've survived this long. I want to thank a couple of my mentors, the great Tom Snyder, who I worked with for a few years, and also Jim Lampley, who was great to me, and I learned so much from those guys. I think you would recognize Chick Hearn and some of the other legends here in Los Angeles broadcast history. It's luck, a lot of it. I mean, to survive 20 years at a radio station, to survive 30 years is incredible. I want to thank all the people that we work with now, our producer and manager of audio operations at ESPN, Greg Bergman, Chris Morales, who's fantastic, Tommy Lamb, who is our boss as well. The place we work at now is as much fun as I've ever had in radio. Shouting out Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa, Scott Kaplan, and George Sedano. We have a blast together. And we appreciate you being out there every day. We appreciate all the listeners who've made us successful over the years. And this is a tremendous honor, and we thank you very, very much.
You know, a hallmark of all the great voices that have been a part of this organization for the last 66 years has been the ability to perfectly capture a great moment. And that's what our Call of the Year Award is devoted to recognizing. So let's take a look and a listen at our nominees for 2023.
Atrás a recibir Davis. Davis está parado en la 20. Davis va a recibir en la 15, retrocediendo un par de pasos y ahora analizando a ver dónde están los espacios. Evade a 1, evade a 2, se explota a la 30, a la 35, tiene carril a la 40, a la 50, a la 40 al otro lado, 30, 20, 10, se quiere ir, se puede ir, se fue, cayó el rayo para comenzar. Equipos especiales y un Darius Davis extra especial. You want sauce? Ahí está su salsa en el regreso.
Westbrook's got it just inside half court. Westbrook with it. Give it to LeBron at the right elbow. LeBron, one-on-one against Kenrick Williams, backing him in. Turns, shoots, scores! There it is! All hail the new king in town! Young and old, gather round! From one iconic Laker to another. The king, LeBron James, has passed the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and LeBron now stands alone as the NBA's all-time leading scorer.
Stafford ready, calls for the snap. Here comes the rush. He throws right side alone. It's Puka at the 5 to the end zone. A walk-off winner. Puka Nacua in overtime. 22 yards to get the Rams to 2-2. Maurice Jones-Drew, sing it with me as Nakua flings it into the stands. Nakua Matata. It means no worries for the rest of today.
Now LeBron and the Lakers up by 3, 40 seconds left. Trying to go up 3 games to 1. He's got Brooks right on him. LeBron tries to get around him. LeBron all the way. Score! And one! For the king, LeBron James.
And the Call of the Year award goes to new Hall of Famer John Ireland.
Thank you for this. It's a huge honor. There's 2 thoughts I have. One, I was trying to figure out these things, as you're learning, tend to run long. And I always try and study from the greats. And the last time I was here, Vin Scully got the TV play-by-play award, and he was here. And of course, Vin was dressed perfect. And he gets up here and he says, I go, what's he going to say? He's like, guy's won every award ever. He goes, I look around the room and I see all the great sportscasters. And every year when I get my ballot, I look up and down the ballot at all of the great names. And then I vote for myself. And the whole room busted up and they said, well, the next award is radio play-by-play and the winner is John Ireland. And I said, if you think I'm following that, you're out of your mind. So don't take my brevity for being any less thankful. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very honored to be in the Hall of Fame, and I don't take these moments lightly. Thank you for doing this, Pete. Thank you for keeping this alive. And thank you all for coming this morning. It means a lot. Thank you.
The Irv Kaye's Best Radio Show Award honors the voices that keep us company when we're stuck in traffic on the 405 or the 110. The voices that keep us calm after a tough loss. The voices that keep us company while we're stuck in the parking lot getting out of a Dodger game. The finalists for the year 2023 are Steve Mason and John Ireland for the Mason and Ireland Show, 710 ESPN. Petros Papadakis and Matt Money Smith from the Petros and Money Show on AM 570 LA Sports. And David Vassay for Dodger Talk on AM 570 LA Sports. And the Irv Kaye's Award goes to David Vassay, who is at spring training. Joe, we will reimburse you for the baggage fees. Now 75 pounds worth of trophies to take back to Glendale, Arizona. And now, once again, we direct your attention to the video screens as we take these next few moments to honor and remember our friends and colleagues who have passed on since we all last got together in person. They are no longer with us, but they will always be with us.
Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone. I just can't remember who to send it to. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again. Won't you look down upon me, Jesus? You gotta help me to make a stand. You just got to see me through another day. My body's aching and my time is at hand. And I won't make it any other way. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you somehow one more time again now. I thought I'd see you one more time again. There's just a few things coming my way this time around. Oh, now I thought I'd see you, I thought I'd see you one more time again. La 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 la.
See, now I got to stop crying. Jeez. A proud graduate of Bishop Amat High School, John Jackson Jr. advanced to a wildly successful two-sport career at the University of Southern California. There, he left as the Trojans' all-time leading pass catcher, an all-conference, all-America, and two-time all-academic in football, and all-conference and team MVP who led the team in hitting and set a new school record for stolen bases in baseball. His baseball career got him to the high minors, where he eventually stalled out, if only barely. His football career took him to the National Football League, where he played for the Cardinals and the Bears. I had the good fortune of calling his games when he was a player at USC, and even better fortune to have him as a member of our broadcast team this century, where first he acted as our sideline reporter, and then moved up into the booth as my partner then, Paul McDonald, retired from the booth to be a great dad and follow his sons around as they wrapped up their college football careers. JJ, as we all know him, also was a star on the weekly high school Game of the Week, and very few knew more about high school teams, coaches, and players than John Jackson Jr. His dad was a longtime athlete and coach and a proud mentor for his son in his playing days and in his broadcasting career. The coach used to come and sit in our booth almost every game at the Coliseum, sometimes during the game, always afterwards, and lending not just John, but all of us some well-thought-out comments, some that were soft and some, as you recall, not so much. In early December of 2018, this vibrant professional in real estate, in coaching, and in broadcasting suffered a major stroke. Everyone knew, even John, that it was going to be touch and go, and that his life hung in the balance before and after the first of a series of surgeries. He made it through that and began on the painstakingly slow road to recovery. It started with sign language, then a whisper, then, before long, his usual cantankerous roar. As he regained most of his ability to move and all of his ability to think clearly, his wit suffered not at all. One measure of a person is how well his memorial service is attended. Thankfully, that was not the case here. But I think we all know what it will look like if you judge by the number of friends, teammates, business partners, broadcasters, and coaches who showed up at the hospital day after day, week after week, and month after month to sit with John and talk about his life. His kids hung in there too, those raised by he and his wife Ann. Jaden, a baseball prodigy, just getting his career started. Daughter Simone, an All-American in her own right for the USC soccer team. Son John, Triple J, played football at SC, was a wide receiver in a room with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Michael Pittman and guys like that, so you know he could play. And his sister Tracy and I talked on more than one occasion at various hospitals. He still appears on the air with us during our SC football broadcasts every week, at home, in person at the Coliseum, and on the road from our KABC radio studios, doing pregame, halftime, and postgame analysis and sounding as clever and as clear as ever. I was told by the nurses back in the days shortly after JJ's stroke that his chances of recovery, frankly, were not very good. Something like only 40% of the people that suffer a stroke like the one he had would survive only a couple of months, and that the survival rate after a full 5 years was only about 20%. Today, it's February 27th, 2024. I'm happy to say that today marks 5 years, 2 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days since he had that stroke. And I'm so happy to be able to still call him my friend and to bring him up now as the winner of the Southern California Sports Broadcasters President's Award. Here's JJ, John Jackson Jr.
I'm sorry about that. I'm the only one who took a half hour to get up here because Pete's making me cry. Pete, don't ever introduce me again. Just say John Jackson's here. That's it. I want to thank, first of all, everybody today for showing up. This is a big deal for a lot of us. I'm just so thankful I'm not getting it when I'm 6 feet under, I'm 6 feet above. That's so funny. There's so many people in this room that I've worked with or have come to know that I am so different, whether it be high school, Angels, USC football. You know, I'm a USC guy through and through. I got to tell you 2 quick stories. They'll be quick because I know you guys been listening to Pete all day. The first one is Chris Roberts is the only UCLA person that I actually like. The rest of you Bruins. But that is the reason I say that is because, you know, he was great to me. He as we all, those of us that have known him, and you know, his wife, of course, is here. Thank you to the USC table too for coming, and Sean, thanks for coming, buddy. That table has been with me through and through all my transgressions, helping me up on stage and stuff. Sean, you didn't have to help me up today. I could walk the stairs. Tim Teslone, who babysat me, believe me or not. My dad coached at USC. Tim Teslone used to babysit me throughout the day. So Tim, thanks again for hanging with me all of these years, because there's been a lot now, because I came here at 10. It's been a lot of years. The one thing I have to question, though, is they have an award for Call of the Year, and Pete is the president. Pete, how did you not win? I thought you would for sure put your Call of the Year, yourself as Call of the Year. We'll talk after, because I know you think you deserved it. You'll probably be pissed off after this. I do have a little worry with the Bruins, though, now. Eric Bieniemy used to be my teammate at Bishop Vermont, and now we have to go against him. I think it's big trouble. But now that we got a new defensive coordinator, we'll be okay, because a Bruin can stop another Bruin. Eric Bieniemy is going to revive UCLA. Like, he's one of my best friends. And I'm done talking about UCLA. But the last thing is, my youngest son went to UCLA for a camp day for the high school kids. He did extremely well at that day, and they offered him. So my son, he goes to St. John Bosco. 3 months later, he calls me and says, "Dad, I think I'm going to UCLA." And I was quiet for a minute, and he said, "Dad, are you okay?" And I said, "Son, if you like it, I love it." Yeah, and that's that. And he's a committed Bruin right now. And I guess SC played UCLA in baseball, was it recently, or basketball? But he reminded me that the Bruins won, and we have, I don't know how many times I'm going to accept his phone calls anymore, but he always tells me how the Bruins are doing, and unfortunately I have to go to a UCLA baseball game. So please, if you hear that I'm at a UCLA baseball game, just know I'm a Trojan, okay? Can I talk to you after, Mr. Nato? Okay. I need you this time, more than I needed you before. But anyway, I'm just really appreciative of receiving this award. When Pete found out that Mason and Ireland were not showing up, Pete, our quote was, "More time for me." Who was it that said, They broadcast with one of our award winners today, and the analyst, then he told the analyst, just don't talk when I'm talking. Chris Roberts. Well, Pete tells me, just don't talk. I got it. I don't know how I got up here, to be honest with you. I don't know how I got awarded, but I guess in between Pete saying go, talk, say something, I must have said something right. So how am I up here? Anyway, I want to thank you guys for having me. I'm so honored. I was in a hospital for 9 months and never thought I would see outside again, much less be an honoree at an award ceremony. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. The sacrifice for your morning or whatever you had to do today is really appreciated. I will be thanking you when I say my prayer before I go to sleep, because only God can make this happen. And so I want to thank you guys, and I will get off and hand it back to Pete, because I know you're not done talking.
We got Almont Lancers in the house. Paul McDonald is here. JJ's here. Me. We also should give it up for Pete Arbogast, our SCSB president. He's been driving a lot of this stuff these past few months and the last couple of years since we lost Chris Roberts. And so Pete's been big for us. Also want to not go full Chris Roberts, but I do want to mention some of the people that are here today. Some of you know him, maybe you don't know him. Patrick is here. Great to see you from the Kings and the Angels and Valley Sports. JB Long back there. Joe Davis, you've seen him up here a bunch. He's stacking trophies like most people stack their drinks. Joe, I have bad news. You're not the pup in the group anymore. You got Carlo Jimenez from the Clippers over there to your right. He's the young guy now. The great USC table. Great to see Mason in Ireland. The next group, the next two awards are very important here in Southern California. Los Angeles and Southern California. It takes broadcasts in more than one language, really more than just two languages, to reach all the eyes and the ears. Spanish language broadcasts have been growing in recent years. The Super Bowl just had a record set for most watched Spanish language Super Bowl broadcast. And notably, our teams in LA have been at the forefront of paving new paths. Jaime Herrin is here from the Dodgers, going back all the way to the 50s since the Dodgers first came here. And we heard from Pepe and the great story he had, now in our Hall of Fame. So now these guys are in those footsteps with Best Spanish Language Analyst, the finalist. Ricardo Lopez from Rams Football. Fernando Valenzuela, Dodger Baseball. Francisco Pinto, Chargers Football. And the winner is Fernando Mania. Fernando Valenzuela, Dodger Baseball. Joe Davis, everybody. Our next award is for Best Spanish Language Play-by-Play, and the finalists are Adrian Garcia Marquez, Chargers Football, Troy Santiago, Rams Football, Pepe Iniguez, Dodger Baseball. And the winner is Pepe Iniguez, Dodger Baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Davis.
So these next couple of awards honor those who help serve as the soundtrack for some of the local teams. And as a friend and mentor of mine always says, paint the word picture. So here are the nominees for the Chick Hearn Radio Play-by-Play Award. Pete Arbogast, USC Football. J.B. Long from the LA Rams. Nick Nixon from the Kings, and Charlie Steiner from the Dodgers. And the winner is Pete Arbogast, USC Football. He got one.
you actually get to talk when you win one about stuff that's not about the club. I want to thank our team. You can't be a good play-by-play broadcaster without a great team of people behind you and with you, alongside of you the whole way. And they're all here today. Jordan Moore, who does USC basketball on the radio, is our sideline announcer, does a great job. Gia Lares is our producer. Rick Cutler has been attached to me forever in the broadcast booth as our engineer. The best boss that I've ever had in the business, and if other bosses are here, I don't care. The best boss I've ever had in the business. He gets me, and he understands that I wanted to do this job since I was 8 years old. I didn't want to be just a play-by-play voice. I wanted to be the voice of the Trojans when I was 8 years old. And I went after that job all my life, practicing to be that, and I got it. And our boss is here today, Drew DeHart. Drew, thank you very much for believing. And I am blessed to have 3 of my 4 color analysts here in attendance today. You've met John Jackson, Sean Cody, who was up for Color Analyst of the Year, and it's difficult to be a play-by-play guy and a color analyst and have them both be up for awards, because that means we both talk a lot. And unlike what John said, I let my guys talk plenty. And the third of those guys that are here today, one of my best friends in the business who has dropped out of the business, and I'm sorry that you ever did, is Paul McDonald. Say hello to Paul. And I couldn't do this job either without our spotter. I don't think Bert's here today. Did he show up? Bert Awada. Randy Hastings is our spotter on the road sometimes. We have gone to a computer to keep statistics, and I think it's a sin, a shame, because the guy that used to keep stats for us, and I wish he still was, is the best in the business as far as I'm concerned, and you can ask the guys that have worked with him. He and I grew up on the same street together, and it's such a joy to have your best friend sitting next to you in the broadcast booth, throwing you notes and laughing. I call him sometimes when I'm driving to a game and say, my imposter syndrome kicks in all the time, especially when I'm standing up here talking to you about winning an award. And I call Hoppy all the time and I say, I can't believe they're still letting me do this thing. It's unbelievable. My statistician and my best friend growing up, Mark Hoppy. I love the guys that do play-by-play, Nick Nixon, Charlie Steiner, J.B. Long. I listen to all of you guys all the time, and all the guys that got votes all the way down the line. Keep at it, keep going. John, you too. Love you doing the Laker game, man. Hope you make the playoffs and go deep. Go deep. Make a deep run. Yeah, I bet. Yeah. Are you paid by the game by any chance? Yeah. No, yeah. I am. So when we make a bowl game, yes, sir. Yeah. Pretty happy about that. Vinny got up, and you said, one time I remember he got up and he went, thank you very much, and he just walked off the stage. I am never not excited about winning an award for what I do. I love my job. Thank you very much.
I spotted for Pete once at Arizona State, and that was a nightmare. But then he asked me to do it again, so I did it again, and that one was fun. So that one, ASU didn't lose by 40 points. So our next play-by-play award is the Bob Miller Television Play-by-Play Award, and the finalists are Joe Davis from the Dodgers, Tim Neverett from the Dodgers, and Brian Seaman from the Clippers. And the winner is, would you believe it's Joe Davis?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure this didn't actually happen. They just didn't want me to walk out with awards for everybody else and not have one for myself. So thank you. It's a great honor. It is, when I took over for Vin and people talked about the pressure of doing that, yeah, there's pressure in that. But I try to channel it differently, and I've said this, you maybe have heard me say this before. I looked at it as a responsibility, not a pressure thing, a responsibility to be the guy to come after the greatest ever to do this job. And the reason that I bring that up is because I feel the same way doing this job in this city. It's a responsibility because of all of you and all the people that have come before us. It really is. I pinch myself when I think about, again, not just Vin, but the history of broadcasters and You know, for us play-by-play geeks, specifically play-by-play broadcasters in this city, it's an honor and it's a responsibility to do this job in this city. And so to get this, it means a ton. So thank you. I was hoping Shohei could come up here and grab this for me and return the favor. He's actually playing today, so I'll come up and grab it myself. But thank you guys. And again, thanks to Pete and for everybody for making this happen again. It's a special day for all of us.
Joe, there's a story I don't mind telling from a few years ago. It was 2020, and we were about to do our first USC football broadcast without a crowd in the Coliseum. We were alone, and the SC team was playing on the road. So we were in a blacked out Coliseum. Our little booth was lit up, and that was it. And I was obviously a little nervous about how it was going to be to do a game during COVID times with no crowd and no team in front of me. So I called Joe, because I know he had done some baseball games already that season, and I said, what's it like? And he said, watch the TV, stick with it, and remember that you have no crowd. So because of that, when you have a crowd, a big crowd in a game, you play on the crowd. The crowd screams and you're a little more excited. Crowd groans, you're not. You play with them, and you have to generate some enthusiasm that isn't there from the crowd, which was great, except, Joe, we did that. Sean and I did that on that first game, and then we listened back to the tape, and we sounded like we were calling a funeral. Still. So I called Sean, and I said, we have to kick it up like 3 more notches. Remember that, Sean? We had to kick that up like 3 more notches for the next game, and then it worked out fine. So thanks for the advice on that. It was, our last event here is for somebody who's not here, but I'm going to read the things that I wrote about him. He called me at 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon and told me he could not be here, and I can't tell you why. There are 2 people called me within 2 hours that were going to speak here today, and called me within 2 hours of each other yesterday, and for the same reason couldn't make it here today. Time to talk about the other recipient of our Lifetime Achievement Award from the Southern California Sports Broadcasters. Born and raised in San Diego, led his Helix Highlanders to the multiple championships before heading to UCLA to win some more. Back-to-back national champs, 3-time College Basketball Player of the Year, #1 draft pick of the Trailblazers, a 2-time NBA champion and the most valuable player overall in the NBA in 1978. Named to the National Basketball Hall of Fame and the NBA's all-time 50 and 75-year all-time best teams. In the days after he stopped playing in the league, he became a broadcaster, which is an amazing feat, what with the well-chronicled speech impediment he had and shyness due to the same that he had to overcome. But when he did, they came calling. CBS and NBC, the Clippers, ABC, ESPN, Pac-12 Network, Sacramento Kings, and he's not done yet. He lives in America's finest city, has 4 boys from a previous marriage who all played college basketball, and of course Luke won an NBA title with the Lakers and later coached them and the Kings after he stopped playing, making Bill and Luke the first father and son ever to win NBA titles. Speaking of which, he and his brother Bruce are the first brother combo to win a Super Bowl and an NBA title. His sister played a little college hoops too. He's a published author of a New York Times bestseller. He's appeared in TV and films and commercials. He's a member of multiple halls of fame. To be fair, there are some people who bristle at Bill's storytelling during games. Call the game, they plead, and throw their shoe at the television screen. I'm not one of those, for I, like the majority, enjoy the amount of time and effort he puts into his work so that during any given game, we become better educated. He teaches us things we probably don't know, and even if we do, he'll probably add some facts you certainly did not know before. Something about a player or a coach or a city they're playing in, the geographical area, about politics or movies or books or music, and boy, did he love his music. It makes for a tapestry that ties us all into the big picture that's not necessarily about the game, but about life, and this guy has a lot of life, and you can hear it in his delivery. Oh, how those of us across town hated him as a player, but grudgingly we had to admire his abilities. Hate no more. I love listening to any game that Bill is part of. He was supposed to be with us today to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. We'll make sure he gets that plaque. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause because he'll watch it on the film we sent him, to the great Bill Walton. We thank you for attending today. Please become a voting member and send us your membership dues when I send the letter out saying send me your membership dues. Keep up the great work. We'll see you at one of our many outings this year out in the wild, out in the free land, and in some stadium somewhere. Please join us and have a good time that day. Thank you for attending today. Drive safely. Have a great week. Have a great day. Good afternoon.